Hello all, hope you're doing well. And in this talk, we're going to go over briefly chapter 6 of Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, specifically looking how Dr. Rumelt looks at the concept of using leverage. Now, it's a really interesting concept, and as you know, leverage comes from being a fulcrum, trying to lift something with the right tools and the right concept behind that. And his view is that leverage comes from, as he says, focused thinking, energy, and action. Basically, a mixture of anticipation, insight, and really focused and concentrated effort. And that makes a lot of sense. When he's looking at anticipation, he's thinking of this is derived from a future look at the future in terms of buyer and competitor behavior. As you know, in most strategic thinking, there's a lot of emphasis on the competitor, and of course the competition in general, and how your buyer is, or your prospective buyer, your target audience, is expected to react to what changes you make and what you're doing. You'll see that in most businesses, the way they approach these things is extrapolating trends. They look at how things are going, and they say, now if this continues that way, or if there's a change in that way, if oil prices go up or down, what's that going to affect cars? What's happened in the past? If it's the summer, you're going to sell more summer clothes, or what, those sort of things. They look at trends, they look at what's happened in the past, and make a lot of decisions based on that. You'll see in the article that we'll talk about in a bit in chapter 5 of the Harvard Business Review book, the concept of red ocean and blue ocean, which we'll talk about a bit more when we get to that. But there's contrasting views on this concept there, less emphasis on the competitor in blue ocean, as we'll see. Anyway, what you do, and when you look at anticipation, you're trying to consider the habits, the preferences, the policies, politics, direction, desires, fears, and social changes that may affect your business and what you're trying to sell. You have to take all those things into account, and that's how you anticipate where you think your business might be going. You need to determine the decisive aspects of the situation. I call them drivers. Easier word. Instead of decisive aspects of the situation, think of drivers. What makes it happen? What do you flick on one side and something comes out the other way? What makes something else happen? Those are drivers, and we talk about that a bit. I think it's a really simple word to use. You want to know what makes something else happen, and understanding the drivers magnifies the effort you expend. For example, say you have a wealth management business that's focused in Latin America, and you have a 4-person team in Brazil. Brazil's a gigantic country. You have a choice of putting 4 new people, one in Chile, Costa Rica, Peru, Guatemala, or 4 more people in Brazil. It may well be the case that focusing your effort on the one country more than doubles, maybe triples, maybe quadruples your return, because of the focused energy on something you really are focused on, and you anticipate and you understand the market really well. You could make the decision, we're going to spread those people out, but one person in those different countries may end up really not getting very far without having much of a base to build on. So that's the kind of thing. What you want to know, what are the drivers, and how can I focus my effort on that for the most impact? Now, the links to the Inspired Logical Strategy That Works book are interesting in this case. If you look at the principles of strategy from that book, we see that in his view here on when it's we call it looking to the future or anticipation. It's the same thing. It's you want to make a big part of strategy is try to anticipate and look into the future to the best you can with the most information you can derive of what may happen in the future. Part of this is testing your creativity, low-cost trials. You think of something, try it a little bit. Don't commit your whole company to something that you're not sure of. It's a good way to test the market. And a part of what he's saying, and I couldn't agree more on, is if you have to constantly tweak and adjust your business. If you don't adjust, the competition will. In this case, again, we're looking at a situation where you have an identifiable and consistent competition. If you don't adjust and tweak, they will, and they want your market share, and they'll take it. And again, the idea of focused action, being clear, being unambiguous, and really laser sharp on what you want to do, focusing your effort on what you think is best, is where you get the most results. Okay, these are the key points of that chapter, and talk to you soon. Thanks.